It's a bloodbath out there. Everything is getting crushed. Stocks, commodities, look at silver here. But when everybody's selling in panic and promising themselves to never invest again, that's when we need to take a step back, look in the investment themes that are developing for the coming years so we can pick up the right assets on the cheap. I just got back from the Mining Forum Zurich for gold and silver miners, and I'm telling you, there's a development happening in the gold and silver mining sector among the senior and junior producers that has never been discussed before. It's brand new and it's going to give us amazing investment possibilities. Not even swing trading, I'm talking investment possibilities for the coming days and years. Let's talk about it. Welcome to Hot Trades of the Day, your show for swing trading ideas for the coming days, weeks and month. So I was just in Zurich at the Mining Forum Europe, which is one of the top events for the bigger gold and silver companies. It's almost exclusively producers or developers that are near production. No micro-cap stocks, no nano-cap explorers. The big ones are here because this is Zurich. This is where a lot of money is, and therefore they are only interested in the big blue chip companies from the gold and silver sector. So this is the reason why there was no video on Monday and yesterday, because I was literally running around like my hair was on fire. Meetings, presentations, more meetings, business lunch and dinner, mingling, you know how it is. So let's jump right into it. I hope you've been to Zurich. It is absolutely beautiful, and looked at the sky, at the fantastic weather we had. Well, let's say Zurich had it. I didn't experience very much of it because I was, as I was saying, inside for like 90% of the time. So this is what it looked like. This was the main presentation room. And here's the interesting part. So really the hot theme of this mining forum among the producers has shifted significantly. So in the last gold bull market from 20 years ago, this is with the Alamos Gold Management right here, was one of the headliners, obviously fantastic company. And this is their presentation right here. And this is perfect because they're one of the companies that are really buying into this new narrative. 20 years ago, in the last bull market in the gold mining stocks, it was all about growth, growing your reserves, growing your ounces, buy projects. Doesn't matter if they're lucrative, just add to your reserves and your ounces. This led to incredible unprofitability and management mistakes, and was one of the reasons why we had the bear market in the mining stocks. Now, the theme has shifted 180 degrees. The producers have gotten a lot of pressure in the past year and a half, but really in the last year, to focus on profitability, cash flow, and return to shareholders. This is completely new, and this changes the narrative and the development in the gold mining stock significantly. Every company that was presenting there, like Alamos Gold, put their focus on, look how we're growing our cash or our free cash flow. We are paying a dividend. There's a new dividend policy that is becoming the norm because it's demanded by the high finance scene in Switzerland, London, Dubai, Canada, US, I don't know, but I know definitely in these markets. The managements of the company that presented there were all talking about how they plan to increase their dividend, install a dividend policy if they haven't done so. Some companies even do share buybacks now because that was really popular with the high-tech companies. I don't think that's the greatest idea, but that's happening. And on the other hand, Yes, they are spending on expanding existing projects. Yes, they're spending on optimizing existing production and mine facilities, but they are not blindly exploring anymore, because that is just a waste of money in this new way to look at the gold mining stocks, the gold mining business, that may offer big returns in the future, but nobody knows, and that's not what the smart money wants. The smart money wants return to shareholders, and they're getting it. And here's what's happening, and this is super interesting for us. The managements are incorporating dividend policies, and if we believe that the gold price will keep going up and the silver price, which I do, and you pick out the good companies that are growing their production as well, then that means that their dividend will go up in the future, which all the managements at the Mining Forum Europe talked about. And that means if we buy these stocks now in a correction at good prices, we're probably not going to get great prices anymore, but at good prices. In a couple of years, these could return us dividend yields of 4%, 5%, maybe even higher on the invested capital. Because the smart money, the institutional investors that write the big checks, those are the ones that the companies want as shareholders. They demand a solid dividend policy, which includes increasing your dividend over time. And if the companies are increasing their free cash flow, and the good ones are, it's incredible, 3x, 4x increase of cash flow in 2024 because the gold price went higher, then that will happen. So there's the gold mining story going forward will be, you're going to buy gold miners not only for the gold story, but also as a dividend story, which is extremely interesting. It didn't exist before. Usually the yields were like 1%, maybe 2% for the royalty companies. And every now and then you had a couple of outliers, that production in East Asia or in Africa. So they needed to pay a really high dividend for the gold sector, which was usually like 4%, maybe 5%, to even attract investors. Now we're talking big blue chip companies that have to pay out dividends in very, very attractive yields that could be like pharma level like in a few years. Again, on the invested capital, if we buy now, but with projects in Canada and Mexico or the US. Super interesting development. Now, let's take a look at one of these companies. So this is AngloGold Ashanti. I saw them at the conference. They were presenting there, and you can see they opened up with a big gap down, and even in today's market, they're getting bought up right away. This tells us something. You know what AngloGold Ashanti said at the conference in their presentation? They said, we expect the dividend yield for 2025 at the current prices to be around 4.5%. That's incredible for a gold blue chip company. Now, where would I like to pick this one up? Obviously right here, gap fill in this zone, this old resistance zone, now support, and we are at the uptrend as well. So we're gonna get back to this story that nobody's talking about in the gold market. And we're talking senior producers and only the good ones, right? And what do I mean with good ones? cost control, high free cash flow, great mines that are still growing and at the same time increasing the reserves, right? Not just depleting the reserves. Because that's okay for a swing trade, but obviously not for an investment, because at some point they just sold off their gold, and if they're not replacing their reserves, then they're in big trouble in a couple of years. This will lead to another development that we're going to talk about tomorrow that is concerning M&A activity in the gold market that is coming. Super interesting as well. But this dividend story, completely new in the market, and it's coming. So take a look, do your research for the senior and junior producers. And you can basically go through the big ETFs, GDX and GDXJ, and just do your research to find out some of the best companies. I'll introduce some here as well in the coming weeks that will offer us great upside in the gold and silver bull market, plus attractive dividend plays. That's why I love to go to these conferences. That's why I hope you forgive me that I didn't do a video on Monday and Wednesday. I think it was worth it. If you haven't subscribed, it would be great if you would take a second out of your day and subscribe. It really helps us out. Talk to you later. We'll see you tomorrow. Then we talk part 2 of the Mining Forum Zurich. Bye-bye.